Free Period is a podcast of First Baptist Watauga Student Ministry. For more information about First Baptist Watauga, you can check us out at fbcwatauga.org. Hello and welcome to Free Period, the weekly break you want to take. I'm your host, Kevin Skinner, the Associate Pastor and Student Pastor here at First Baptist Watauga.
And I'm Nathan McKendry, your Young Adult Minister and Assistant Student Minister, also here at First Baptist Watauga. And today we are going to be answering the question, what are you doing during quarantine?
All right, but before we get to that, I'm going to give Nathan one last word from the 90s to see if he knows what it means, and I will say, you've done a really great job so far.
Yeah.
You have known all of these words.
That's right.
And so we're going to go ahead and end that today.
Because I'm just too good.
Yeah, that's right. So this is the last word from the 90s, and then starting in our next podcast, we'll be doing something different at the beginning of it. So come back to find out what we're going to be doing.
That's right. Maybe we don't even know yet.
Maybe we don't. Maybe we do.
We do. Give me the word.
All right, so the word today is word.
I'm waiting.
What does it mean?
Word. I usually, the way I hear it used, in fact, PM used this a lot. He would just word, like we would tell him something, he would be like word, kind of like a way of just finishing the conversation, just almost synonymous to okay or cool, just word.
Yeah. So it's kind of a word of agreement. Okay would be a good replacement for it, to just say word. Zach and I still say that a lot back to each other, like in text. He'll tell me something and I'll say word. I may have said it to you before in text, or to I know I've said it to Matthew in text before. I don't do it to y'all as frequently because I know that that's not part of our vernacular.
Right, yeah. I almost never say it.
Right, but it is something from the 90s that we used to say, word. But good job getting that.
Thank you. I'm just too good.
Yeah, so next time we'll start something new.
Next time. But let's go ahead and get to our question for the day. What are you doing during quarantine?
All right. Now, we understand that the word quarantine, this is not the classical definition of quarantine, what we are going through. But this is the word that the culture, much of the culture is using right now to describe this time. So we're going to use this word today as well. So let's break this up into a few different questions. First, let me ask you, Nathan, do you think at the time of this podcast, we are currently recording this several weeks in advance. So do you think that at the time that this podcast airs, that we are actually still in quarantine? So this is going to air the first week of May, the first Tuesday in May. So are we still in quarantine? Right now, it's supposed to be lifted at the end of April. Right. So do you think that has changed, or do you think that we're out and about, back to life?
Okay. Well, I mean, right now it's still the beginning of April. We haven't even had Easter yet.
Right.
But, and like you said, it's supposed to finish at the end of April.
Correct.
My prediction is that although, and I'm hopeful in the sense that I would like something to have changed, and so I will take this if this is what happens, but not that I would have any choice. My hope and what I think will likely happen is that although the limitations we have right now will not completely go away, I think it's possible that we loosen some rules up. So maybe we're allowed to leave our house for more reasons. Ultimately, I think social distancing will still be in place, and maybe they'll raise the rule from 10 people to 50 or something like that. I'm less hopeful that we're just going to go completely back to normal. I think there will be a progression, much like there was, although quick, a progression to get into this. But what do you think?
So I'm going to take just a slightly different stance from you. Maybe not slightly different. I'm going to take the opposite stance. I think it's more fun if we disagree for the sake of this airing. So one of us can be more right, and one of us can be
You just
more
want
wrong.
one of us to be wrong.
So I am going to say that at the time this airs, I think that all of it has been extended and that we are still in the same rules and regulations of quarantine, if not more,
Oh, my.
than what we are currently in right now.
I want you to know they're all rooting for me.
I'm rooting for you. I hope that you are correct. I hope that we are that life has gone a little bit more back to normal. That our gatherings that we're allowed to have some of those by now. I hope that summer does not get canceled. Right, that we're not just indoors all the time. But
to borrow a phrase from the students, we're being positive in that regard.
Yes.
Summer stuff is not canceled.
So, and the reason why I'm taking this stance is because what we have seen is that there has been a progression of them closing stuff down and then saying you need to stay and then saying it's only going to be until the start of April and then it's going to be until the middle of April, and then they extended that all the way to the end of April. And I just feel like when we get to the middle of April, they're going to extend that out again and say, now we're looking at the middle of May. And they're just going to continue to extend that out until we really are having until we have a real good handle on all of this, and maybe the temperatures are warmer and this virus starts dying out. That's my prediction, but I'm rooting for you. I hope that more of life has gone back to normal and that all of this social distancing and self-isolation and stay in your house and don't go anywhere unless you're doing certain things. I hope all of that, for the most part, has been lifted. So we'll see.
We shall.
Yeah.
I hope so.
So let's get more so into this question now. Let me ask you, what are you doing right now? How has this affected your work schedule, or in your case, your school schedule?
Okay, I'll split those up. So work is now all online.
Truth.
So yeah, so I was having to try to figure out ways to do online ministry, like most every single other minister out there. So I've actually added to my work schedule. I'm doing more things now than I was, because now game nights we've kind of found a way to still be able to do because of Discord. We can still do growth groups via Zoom, and I've also now added a video devotional series for the young adults just to try to keep connected, and then I'm working a little harder on social media posts. So I spend a lot of time doing that now, but I can do that for the most part. I got to be up here at least one day for that stuff alone. Right. And then of course I'm up here at least another day for doing stuff like this, doing the podcast and the midweek supplement with you. The other days it's about schoolwork, which has not stopped. And in fact, as is customary in the last month of the semester, things have amped up. So much so a lot of my classwork we took that extended break where we were expected not to do any work. And now we're trying to catch up, all of us. And so we've kind of had this ambiguous, try to turn in these things when you can. Right. And so it's been a lot of catching up, especially lately. And of course, hopefully by the time that this airs, I will be done with class. And if we're still in quarantine like you predict, then I'll just, I don't buy a new video game or something.
There you go.
I just will
paint all the walls.
Yeah, that's right. I'll come up here and I will just go to town cleaning everything. Every closet, paint the walls that need painting, wipe the bugs off the ceiling. No, not really. I won't do that. I
Leave the bugs up there.
There's a bug.
They need a home
on that wall. Anyway, but yeah, so that's my schedule is actually quite busy. A lot of people are kind of faced with boredom. That is not something I face right now. If we get to May and we're still going, I will face that. But yeah, so far, I mean, it's just fairly stressful because April is normally stressful for a student. So, right. Oh well. But what about you?
So obviously, I'm not in school, so I don't have a school schedule that's being impacted. But when I was working on my master's, the last half of it I did all online anyway. So so if I was still doing that, I don't even know if it would be impacted much because I would have already been doing it online.
Right.
But work schedule wise, it's certainly a lot different because we're trying to cram in most of what we spread out over Monday through Wednesday. We're cramming all of that into Monday and Tuesday so that we can get everything recorded, edited, and ready to go for especially the midweek supplement for that to be released on Wednesday.
Yeah, the editing really adds some time to our job. That's what I've noticed.
Yes. It does. Especially if we want it to look good, and
right, which
we do. Yeah, I mean, especially now that this is probably getting a wider audience than on a normal basis. I want it to look good. I want it to be good. So we're spending some time doing that, editing. And so, then I'm doing a lot of stuff at home for work as well. Like I take my laptop home with me and so that I can answer emails. Dennis has asked us not to be up here more than necessary because we want to try to comply with the orders that the city and the county have put out. And so we're not leaving our house more than necessary. So that has been very different. And then, on top of that, right, we've got our family at home. And so trying to do work for church at home is certainly a lot different as well when you've got your family there. And then the fact that, right, we're not able to make hospital visits. We're not able to, really interact with anybody that we would, physically speaking, on a normal basis in ministry, right? That's obviously changed, and that's made it difficult.
Yeah, no getting lunch with people.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of the brighter parts of the week.
Right, yeah.
Get to interact with people.
Going to meetings like lunch meetings with people, discussing things like that. And then, the interaction between the youth in person on Sunday mornings and on Wednesday nights. It's difficult not being able to see their faces as we're preaching, right? We're preaching to a camera, which we're used to doing for this podcast, but it's a lot different when we're doing that for a Wednesday night thing.
And we don't get to play pool with them before. I'm used to being able to be up there and play foosball and pool with some of these guys. And
yes, all of that social interaction has just gone away, and so that makes it difficult. At home, that has changed too. So let's transition now from work schedule. How has the quarantine affected your home life?
Okay. Well, all 6 McKendry family members are living in the same household this year again, and now we're all stuck there all the time. So Dad's working from home now. Bethany's home. I'm home. Jonathan, who's normally gone during the day for school, is home. So it affects the Wi-Fi when we're all trying to use it all at once, as I'm sure many of you have discovered. So now I will say I've gotten a little more downtime so that I can say play Minecraft with my brother. It's been a lot of, and then we're all watching movies just about every night, which can be good and can get old. Jonathan and I, to relieve some of the boredom, especially since he was feeling so bored, we've created scavenger hunts for each other, and so we'll leave little clues, and I'll go to work, and he'll work on the clues.
After this is over, he's gonna be like, "Where's my scavenger hunt?"
After this is over, I'm gonna do one where the clues are hidden up at the church and the movie. He's gonna have to go all over the place.
Well, and he has his license now, so he'll
he got his license, and then the next day the DPS closed. So how about that?
That's pretty funny.
Well, what about you?
So I have been, being with my family more, that has been a blessing, even though for work it has certainly impacted things, being with them more. But just being able to be with them more just on a daily basis, to see them more throughout the day and more days during the week has been a blessing. We're watching more TV shows together. We've started watching The Amazing Race, and that's a good show that I can watch with the kids. And Emily especially is really into that right now. So
cool.
And all of those seasons are on Hulu. So right now we're enjoying those as a family. But then, during the day, especially when I'm at home, I'm trying to be very productive. When I'm not doing stuff for the church and I'm at home, I'm, trying to do stuff productive around the house. So I've cleaned out closets. I have organized even more so our garage. I hung a TV on our bedroom wall that has been sitting on the dresser for 3 years, and I at that time was like, I'm going to hang that on the wall. Well, I finally did.
3 years later.
Yes. So
all the stuff that you want to do, but you
yes.
don't have time, but now you have time, so
right.
you're doing them.
Yes, I have intentionally said to myself, what are the things that I have always said, I'll do that when I have time, and then I have been doing those things intentionally so that this time isn't going to waste.
It's like you're forcing yourself to benefit from this.
Yeah, I
will benefit.
I want to use it for beneficial things.
That's good.
So while there is, some negative aspects of this, I think that we can accomplish some positive things during this time, so that when we come out of this, it's not just all we're depressed and disgusted. So
good call.
Yeah. All right. So that's what we were doing, or maybe are still doing during the quarantine. We don't know what, how the world is right now at the beginning of May.
Hopefully better.
But tell us, what are some things that you did or are still doing in the quarantine, if it's still happening? Comment below. Let us know. Did you do some positive things? How did it affect your schedules? What all did you get done during that time? So comment below. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. But yeah.
You're speaking very optimistically.
Well,
you're referring to all of it in the past tense.
I hope that you were correct.
Me too.
So, all right. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Free Period. Join us again next week as we answer the question, is it okay to date an unbeliever? Bye. I hope that you enjoyed today's podcast, and I'd love to meet you in person. If you're a student between 7th and 12th grade, you can join us on Wednesday nights for midweek at First Baptist Watauga. You can also join us on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m. for growth groups and 10:50 a.m. for worship.